Hello guys, I want us to go and watch this video. It's a bit old video. I want us to go and watch it, come back and analyze it. It's old video, but the reason why we are doing something about it is because today, this afternoon, a sister was all over attacking us, most Pan-Africans, for sometimes sharing the blame of what is happening in Africa with the colonial criminals. She was saying that what is going on in Africa today got nothing to do with the colonial criminals. It got nothing to do with the Europeans, with the Western world. We are our own problems. Yes, we know, but some of the problems that we are going through, I told her it got something to do with the colonial, the Western world. She said no. But I want us to watch this video, come back and analyze it, because this is a journalist from Nigeria who is talking about how an NGO approached him to discredit what Dangote is doing in Nigeria. But before we do that, I would like to acknowledge where we are picking the video from. We are picking it from Live Africa Stream. This video, we are getting it from them. So yes, we'd like to acknowledge where we are getting the video from. And also, I would like to say thank you to those of you supporting our mission, One Africa Mission, the #1 Africa Mission. We'd like to say thank you to very much to those of you supporting our mission, supporting us on Facebook, on TikTok, and also on YouTube. We would like to say thank you very much to those of you. And for those of you who haven't really got time out of your busy schedules to support us, please support us. Let us all together work for the interests of Mother Africa. It is our duty to do that. Let us go watch the video, come back and analyze it.
First of all, I should mention that it's a pretty common thing for a journalist to be reached out to by people from NGOs or from commissioning editors in international media wanting to commission one article or one piece or the other. It's a fairly common thing. So when someone reached out to me via DM on my Twitter, asking if I'd be open to writing something about Dangote Refinery, it shouldn't necessarily have been much of a big deal, but it was just something about the way it was worded that struck me as odd, because there was this sort of implied secrecy. It didn't really take much to put 2 and 2 together, that these are the usual actors from the global north who have a vested interest in maintaining the world's economic status quo, who are then using the language of environmental concerns and green energy and things which on the surface appear to be good things that are aimed at making the world a better place, but have been co-opted right from the start to be used as part of this age-old economic war against Africa and the global south. I could see that very clearly. So for me, the issue was no longer about Aliko Dangote or the Dangote refinery. That was less important. For me, the issue was this is a manifestation of an economic war against West Africa, basically, because bear in mind that the whole of West Africa basically has very little local refining capacity. So what happens in West Africa is the same thing that happens around Africa, which is that we end up exporting the raw material, in this case crude oil, export it cheaply, and then we end up importing the refined or the finished goods which is more expensive, which means that we have an eternal balance of trade and balance of payments deficit. So our currencies are just constantly depreciating. So this refinery is supposed to be something that is supposed to reverse that trend. That not only is it going to enable Nigeria to refine its oil locally and then feed the rest of the West African region as well, it's also going to take market share away from European refiners, because it's by far the largest refinery in the Europe, Middle East, and Africa region. The next largest one is, I think, 400,000 barrels per day. I think that's the Shell in Rotterdam, in the Netherlands. This is 650,000 barrels per day. In addition to being much bigger, it's also much newer. The technology is much newer, which makes it more efficient. So that gives it that little extra bit of margin, which, if you're familiar with how refining works, it's all about those little margins. It's going to kill 1 or 2 refineries in Europe once it's fully up.
Yeah, so as I already said, maybe you might have watched the video before, so I'm not going to talk much. But the point I want to make is that the brother is talking about how he was approached by an NGO. He do a background check and he realized that this NGO was from America or Europe, I think. and they were telling him to write damning or damaging stuff against the refinery that Dangote is trying to establish in Nigeria. But as I said, this afternoon, I was having a conversation with a sister who was adamant, who was saying that no, whatever we are going through today got nothing to do with colonialism, it got nothing to do with slavery, it got nothing to do with the West. We are our own enemies. I said, yes, I understand your point, but the Western colonial criminals are not ready to leave Africa alone. And this is exactly what the brother is saying. They approach him, and that is what the NGOs, the so-called NGOs, they have been doing in Africa. And Captain Tiaore warned us about that. We should be careful, those NGOs, because we always have people among us who are more than ready to betray the continent of Africa. Imagine Dangote is doing this, and it will bring employment at least to our people. But the Western colonial criminals who claim they want the best for all of us, they are telling him to write stuff. And he said it, that in the 70s, Nigeria has established a steel company, which, if was allowed, would employ thousands of people. But they bribe people to stand up against that steel company. And today, Nigeria, the steel company, which Nigeria invested their money with the government of Russia, it never come to fruition. And that is exactly what they are trying to do. They approach him to do to the oil refinery. Imagine, these are the patriotic citizens that we need in Africa, and these are the people that should be getting journalism awards, because he stood up for his country, for his continent. And we have millions of people, African journalists, who are in Africa. All that they do is reporting negative things about Africa. People who are trying to build the continent of Africa, they are writing negative things about them. Captain Tiaore spoke about that. So if we have today journalists like this brother, this Nigerian brother, who look, what is $500? They want to sell, they want him to betray his continent, his country, for just $500. What is $500? But some people will take it. So we have to at least give credit to people like him. And then what is the leadership in Africa doing to journalists like this brother? They should be getting awards to encourage more people to be patriotic for their country and their continent, like he did. Because he could have just taken the $500. And you heard what he said. They will even write those damning stuff about Dangote oil refinery. He just have to put his name, and then can you imagine what they think about us? So they are happy seeing unemployed young graduates perishing in the Mediterranean Sea. They are happy seeing young unemployed graduates perishing in the Sahara Desert. They're happy seeing that, because anytime an African want to help, the other day it was Airpeace. Look at how the treatment they give to Airpeace. And today Dangote, and they are employing our own people, journalists, to write negative things about his oil refinery, just to give him $500. Just for $500, they want you. How cheap they think we are. And when we talk, we have our own people telling us, don't blame the Western world. Forget about the Western world. Everything that we are going through is our own making. Yes, we have a lion's share to blame ourselves, to take for what is happening to us. But we can never take white off the Western world for what is happening to us. Because the Western world, they always have a hand in the development of Africa, what is happening in Africa. And then we should be very careful. And then, as I said, we must be giving awards to journalists like this brother. We must be encouraging more patriotic journalism like this brother did. We need examples like himself, so that we can be able to uplift ourselves as children of Africa. We are sick and tired seeing our ladies kneeling down to the colonial criminals, begging them because they want to go to Europe. That is not dignity. I thank you very much for coming around. Please, if you appreciate what we are doing, please then support our mission, One Africa mission, the #1 Africa mission. We are on a mission, and our mission is all about the unification of the African continent and the dignity of our race.